And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night, and welcome to another episode of Arkansas Motorsports Tuesday Night Tune-Up here on ArkansasMotorsportsMagazine.com. I'm Bill Gilkey with our co-host, the comedian of motorsports, Heath Tate, and we've got an exciting show for you here tonight. We are just outside of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, out near the Wildman Racetrack, and we've got, like I said, an exciting show coming up to talk to you tonight a lot about mud truck drag racing. Heath, I'm going to hand it over to you for some report on last week's activities.
For those who didn't see our show last week, we were up at Shaw Race Cars with Scott Mosley, Travis Mosley, and Larry Shaw.
And Kevin Shaw.
Kevin Shaw. And if y'all didn't get to see that, y'all go back and watch this great show. We got to visit with Larry about how he started building Shaw Race Cars. And about a year ago, Scott Mosley and his wife bought out Shaw Motorsports, and now they own it, and they're
Doing quite
well with it. And before that, we stopped by and visited with none other than Mr. UFO himself, Wayne Brooks, and did a show with him. And if those of you hadn't seen it, it's on Thursday night. And
it's under our Arkansas Racing Legends series.
Right. We visited with Mr. Brooks, and y'all need to go and watch that. One more race than anybody in Arkansas.
It is a fantastic hour of motorsports history,
Yes.
not only about Wayne Brooks, but a lot of history there in Arkansas. We want to get started tonight, but before we do, the world of Arkansas motorsports has certainly been hit hard this past week with the loss of two racing legends in Arkansas. Frank Icky Harrison Sr. From North Little Rock, and Tex Myers from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Icky was a fantastic stock car driver all over the state of Arkansas, and his son, Icky Jr., sponsor of the show. Our condolences go out to him and to the Tex Myers family. Tex was very instrumental in getting dwarf car and mod light racing started in Arkansas, and won the 2020 track championship this past year down at Diamond Park Speedway in Murfreesboro, Arkansas. And our heartfelt sympathies go out to those families. But keep those families in your prayers if you would. Like I said, we'll get started tonight on tonight's show. Like I said, I want to tell a little story real quick. When we made the decision to start Arkansas Motorsports Magazine and Tuesday Night Tune-Up, we made an announcement back in September. And it was on a Saturday morning, and we started getting all these Facebook hits from people going, I hope they come to Wildman Racetrack. Well, I'm a little embarrassed to say that me and he thought we were on top of everything motorsports-wise in the state of Arkansas, and we weren't. So I quickly got on the internet and started doing some research, and I called Heath up and I said, hey, we're getting all these hits from people about coming to Wildman Racetrack. And I said, you've got to get on the internet and look this up. I said, we've got to go down there. So we made arrangements as quick as we could to get it down here, and I'll tell you, we had the best time that Saturday.
Had a blast.
Had a blast, and we're excited to say we're going to come back in 2021 several times and spend more time with the fine folks down here. But
It's one of those things that nearly everywhere we go, we mention it.
We mention it everywhere we go. We were talking after last week's show with Larry Shaw.
Right.
And Larry wants to come down here in 2021. He wants to see what's going on. So hopefully we can get Larry to make a trip with us in 2021. And like I said, we just had the best time. We got the best response. And you people down here at Wildman Racetrack, we appreciate the support that you've shown Arkansas Motorsports Magazine and Tuesday Night Tune-Up. So we're going to get underway with the people behind the scenes that make all of it happen, and we've got a nice crowd here tonight that's turned out here to watch the taping of the show, and we'd like to get started and invite the owners, Christy and Eddie Huntley, to come forward and talk a little bit about what's going on here at Wildman. And I want to say, as Christy comes on, she is one of the hardest working people in motorsports. Thank y'all for having us
down here
tonight. And like I said, this is great to have us, and we're here in y'all's shop here, just adjacent to the racetrack. And Heath, I'm going to hand this over to you.
I guess the one question that we normally ask first thing out of the get-go is, and I talked to Eddie about how he got started, but basically, how'd you get started in the mud racing, and then how did y'all get started and decide that y'all were going to build a track and do this? I mean, this is really.
Okay, what started all this is three of us got together. We decided we was gonna build a mud truck. Okay, after we decided we was gonna build a mud truck, it's Jerry Cummins and Bud Cummins, and we just actually got started doing that because Bud come from a long family of racing and this and that, and Jerry did also on street racing and just doing a lot of stuff like that. Bud's even actually been in the dirt track situation several times, and he, what actually got this started was we actually had our engine at Wooley Machine Works in Cabot, and Bud they was going to pick the engine up on Saturday morning, and Bud actually got killed on Friday. 2 or 3 weeks later, me and Jerry decided that we would go and finish the truck because we'd already built most of it. All we were waiting on was the engine, this and that, so we decided we'd go ahead and finish it. And we built this one truck, and we went to Sheridan and raced at the mud track over there. We did okay. We didn't do this extravagant or nothing. We got to run mud duck a couple times and let him get a little scratch on the fender or two. We actually outrun him that day. But anyway, we decided we needed something faster, so we built a better truck, a nicer truck. And then we just kept racing at Sheridan Racetrack, and after all this went on at Sheridan Racetrack, we had raced there for like 3 years, and they were talking about shutting the mud track down. Well, I own a couple 100 acres of land where I live at. I decided I said, shit, I'll just build a racetrack. Really? I decided I'd build a racetrack. Okay. So I started on this racetrack, and after I worked on it I had several people helping me, this and that, and I had some guys with big tractors come in and do a lot of work for me out of Sherrill, Arkansas. They come in and do a lot of work for me. And I have my own dozers and equipment and stuff. And we got the track actually done, and we decided we was going to have a race. So we went through ADEQ. We had some help from some higher-ups in the government and this and that to get our permit and this and that. They kept telling us that we were going to get a permit. Okay. Well, this goes on for 6 or 8 months. And I just tell them in Little Rock at ADEQ, I just tell them that we're going to schedule a race. Y'all keep saying I'm going to get a permit, so we're going to schedule a race. Well, we go ahead and schedule a race in June of it's been 8 years ago, 2013. We scheduled a race. The day of the race, we still ain't got a permit from ADEQ. Well, we went ahead and raced anyway. We had a spectacular crowd. We had lots of trucks. We had everybody from Sheridan, Monticello, Louisiana, everywhere come here. And after the race that day, so we're doing good today. And I'm thinking all the time, I'm going to jail for having a race because the state didn't give me ADEQ didn't give me my permit. Well, after about 4 days, I get a letter in the mail. They fined me $8,000 for having a race without a permit. And they kept telling me I was going to get a permit. And this went on till at the end of September. They kept telling me I was going to get a permit. Well, I just about gave up on it after I'd done spent all this money and done all this work and putting in pumps and water lines and this and that to make the track work. In October, just out of the blue, I get a permit in the mail. And then we started after that, and we've had several good years of racing.
Now, did the state rescind the $8,000 fine?
No,
You have to
sir,
pay
I
that?
paid.
So that good raise,
You know,
not so much.
everything I made that day went to paying them.
Right.
So, you know, I guess they counted heads and said, look, this is what you owe us.
Did, and I know, but for those out there, I guess, the name, Wildman Racetrack.
That comes from my buddy, Bud Cummins. We were riding four-wheelers one day, and his son looked around at him and said, what you gonna do now, wild man? Talking to his son, I'm talking about somebody that's 4 years old. We were stuck down here somewhere in the woods on a four-wheeler. That's where that name comes from.
And from memory of his friend.
His friend,
That's
right,
where it
right,
came
that's
from.
what I'm saying,
That's where
yeah.
it originated. And that was on their truck too. There's the door.
The doors.
The door's actually hanging above me.
Tell everybody that's watching out about the configuration of the racetrack.
It's a quarter-mile long. It's 74 or 5 feet wide in the curve. And some of the trucks, when they go through the water hole, when they get to the water hole, they're running, the slower trucks run 30, 40 miles an hour. The bigger trucks, the higher horsepower, super mod trucks, modified trucks, they're running 60 to, some of them can run up to 80 miles an hour before they hit the water.
And also, like I said, it's a horseshoe style track. There's a turn.
Horseshoe style track. You have to negotiate the curve at the end of the quarter mile, and you know.
And for those that don't know, when you're talking water hole, when you take off down through here, it's just mud, and then all of a sudden you get to a water hole, and you hit a water hole, and it's how deep?
It's 12 to 14 inches deep. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. You know, just according to what the weather's led us to do, because the last 3 years we've really had hell trying to keep it
God
straight.
has prepared for our races with lots of rain. We could have had motorboat races some days.
And the,
We have actually had a thunderstorm come through the night before a race, and everybody's thinking we're gonna cancel, but we have the type soil here. By noon the next day, it's dusty around the track,
Yeah.
and have 3 or 4 inches of rain the night before.
and the water hole, when you hit the water hole, how long before you're out of the water hole?
The water hole is around 140 to 180 feet long, most of the time, yeah.
Now one thing we noticed, it's a little bit different, the drag racing that y'all do, as compared to regular drag racing. And we saw some great racing here that day, but you guys, y'all are afraid to rub fenders a little bit out there in the turns, and,
No,
and occasionally
we have some
you'll
guys,
have some guys turn over.
that would tear your, you know what, up.
So what
They don't care what lane they're in,
You know,
they're just
we-
going around the track.
we want the people to know that are going to be coming in 2021. You're going to see more than just a drag race. You're going to see a little bit of
You're gonna see
bumping and
you're gonna
banging
see a
and-
truck turn over, or a fender get tore all at the end of the race, because such and such bumped him in the butt and turned him around in the track, or they might turn too short because they can't see and run up over the edge of the track.
And explain to everybody also how, I mean, this is, that way they know they need to go look at the website, Wildman Racetrack, because this is not every weekend.
No,
It's once a month.
It's once a month.
we're normally the second Saturday
The
of
second Saturday.
each month, April through October.
Right.
That's all we're permitted for
Right.
by the state.
That way everybody knows it's once a month, April through October, like you said, second Saturday usually. And another thing that I wanted to touch on that we kind of caught a little bit of when we were up here back earlier was they do a great deal with money that they collect. Y'all donate money every year, and go ahead and let these folks know that you know what you do that for. And
Normally our August race has always in the past been donating school supplies for the local schools to provide for people that may not be able to afford them. This year with the COVID, a little different. So we know, and we have great friends and family members is what we call everybody here that are nurses and work in the medical profession, and they've gotten a little extra because of the COVID. So instead of school supplies in August, we did gift cards, and we gave food gift cards to our local ambulance service, Easy, and we also gave them to the patrol unit of the sheriff's department because they're frontliners too, and we're not getting any recognition. Every year it's near and dear to me, and I think I've kind of rubbed off on some of our drivers, but October is our race for the Tatas. We sling mud for the Tatas, and the guys do a great job. This year we were able to give $3,000 to JRMC, which is the Project Pink, which goes out and helps people that can't afford a mammogram. It gives them a little that they don't have to worry about it, and they can be checked. So every year we've gradually gotten more, and this year our fans and our teams and our drivers just kicked butt on selling raffle tickets, and we had a big money race. It was it was like a $10,000 pot. So they did fantastic in supporting the cause this year. We can't do it without them.
right.
Yeah, we auctioned off a couple of guns,
Yep.
and we did really well with selling the raffle tickets for that. And, you know, we ended up giving the guns to whoever wanted. We announced it the last race day,
And we've made sure that we post everything on our page so everybody knows that this is where it's gone. This is the hard work that we've done all season. It's not just Eddie and I. It's our
have
mud
help.
family, and that's the
We have
way
help. Like when I built the track, I had a lot of help.
yeah.
I had guys over here just about every Saturday. You know, we'd do whatever we had to do to make, get it put together.
Y'all like family too. There's a lot of, but in the end, if we have a family member that's been diagnosed or going through a hard time, it's nothing for us to take up donations for that family just out of the blue.
No money coming in or whatever.
Right.
We try to, if we got a race coming up or whatever, we try to make sure that we give something.
One of the things that we noticed when we were down here, and you talked about family, everybody just got along so well.
Yeah.
That ain't every day.
So I guess that everybody was on their best behavior that day for me and he.
They must have seen y'all.
That's why I named that y'all were here.
But no, really, we spent a lot of time out visiting with the drivers and everything, and I want to say something here, and I may hurt some promoters and some other motorsports feelings here, but that's okay because sometimes that's what we do. But one thing that I noticed here that day was y'all had some great classes, and they all weren't $20,000 classes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They were, you didn't have a low class, or you didn't have 2 or 3 classes, and they all had $20,000 race vehicles in them. But you had looks like you have some great rules, and you have some very economical classes for people to get into this sport.
That
but
person
you've
that wants to start.
Yeah, the person that wants to
can't
start.
They can't come out here and spend $20,000 for a race.
We call that run what you brung
And-
kind of class.
And the thing I want to do, I want to challenge all you oval track dirt stock car promoters to come down here one day and look at this and how it's run, because they put on a fantastic show. They got some very economical classes for people to get into this sport, and I think all these other promoters should take a lesson from what's going on down here. And the other thing that I noticed, I was very impressed with your tech situation. Because when y'all tech a truck, you know, there's no secrets or anything. I mean, y'all even let tape get up in there and watch tech. But I mean, I think things like that is what keeps your classes so competitive.
Right.
And I think that y'all are doing a lot of things down here that a lot of other promoters around the state or outside could come down here and take some lessons on. And I applaud you for how you're handling this down here, because y'all had some fantastic racing. And we didn't get to stay for all of it that day because we had another commitment that night. But we were thoroughly impressed.
Had fun, had a lot of fun.
I hope we didn't lose some sponsors off of what I just said, but I mean seriously, it was impressive to see some racing out here that it doesn't take $20,000 to get involved.
Well, another thing on that right there is we got people that come from Alabama, and we have people from Mississippi, we have people from Louisiana, we've had people from Florida, and they all worry, Alabama, they all worry about, if they come up here, are we going to be able to race our truck? My rule is, if you come that far, you're going to race somebody.
We're going to put you in a class somewhere.
That's going to happen.
But
We're not like the ones that will turn them around and go
We're
down
not, we've been to several other tracks, and they will just say, after you pull 5 hours to get there, your tires are too big, or your engine's not right for that class, or whatever. We've seen that.
Yeah.
but it,
Yeah, we're not like that.
But it was just impressive how your class structure is made up. Is there's an avenue there for somebody to get into this sport and start out, and if later on they want to spend a lot of money, there's classes for them.
They can do that.
But there's also classes that are economical and very competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive, and my hat's off to y'all.
The pure stock class that you're talking about that I said was the run what you brung. We have a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-old boys and girls, male and female, that race that class.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have grown up into the mud racing and their
They-
dads race or their family member of some sort. But that's a good starting to see if you're gonna like it or not, and that's the class you're
Right.
talking about, is the pure stock.
That's probably
And
the
that's just
easiest
a-
class there is
That's
to
just
get
a
in.
full jacket.
Because you can go buy a $1,000 truck and bring it up here and race it.
Race it, right.
No extra special stuff.
Do a little waterproofing to it, you're ready to race.
As we go to close out this segment of the show, what's the people watching home, what can they expect in the 2021 racing season here at Wildman?
We gotta get through 2020 first. We're hoping that with the COVID, everything will have calmed down, but, and we'll start in April, regardless.
So April be the start
As
date?
long as the COVID's not around there and the government don't tell us, hey, you can't race
I had
or
to get,
whatever.
I had to get special permission from Arkansas Health,
Yeah, right.
in regards to the rest of our race season. So we didn't race in April, but we did May through. So we postponed October because of the hurricanes coming in, but other than that, we've never canceled a race.
Yeah, it's rained here at midnight on Friday night, we race the next day.
Well, anyway, we appreciate y'all for having us here in your shop tonight.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And for you people watching at home, make a plan in your 2021 travels. Come to Wildman at least once. If you come once, I promise you're going to come back 2 or 3 times. It's an excellent show.
We have things for the kids too.
And thanks for the kids too.
Yeah, have
And,
foot races, all that for the kids. We usually get some free slushy or something like that afterwards.
but it's just a fantastic show to take in. And again, thank y'all so much for having us.
Thank y'all.
And,
Very much so.
Yes, sir.
but we appreciate y'all and what you do. All right,
Thank you.
as we move on to the next segment of the show, we want to thank our sponsors this week. We want to thank True Grit Auction Company up in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Gary and Cindy Morrison, they're your leaders in the state of Arkansas for online auctions. Please check them out. They've got a good one going over in Yale County this week, so go on to True Grit Auctions and check out that auction that's going on. Shaw Race Cars up in Batesville, Arkansas. Glad to have them as a sponsor. We also want to thank Phil Potts Complete Car Care between Greenwood, Arkansas and Fort Smith, Arkansas for being with us this week. We also want to thank Weston Petroleum in Plummerville, Arkansas for being a great sponsor of Arkansas Motorsports Magazine. And obviously we want to thank Wildman Racetrack here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Our first guest tonight is getting ready to step on here from the camera. He's going to visit with us a little bit. I know he comes from Yazoo City, Mississippi. Made the trip. Made the trip all the way over from Yazoo City, Mississippi tonight to be with us here on Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Jason Freeman from Yazoo City, Mississippi. I drive the American Pie 3D Junior truck. It's a modified truck.
And you travel over here every time there's a race, from what I hear.
I try not to miss one.
Tell us a little bit about your racing career.
Hey, I didn't ever really race nothing. In high school, I had a Mustang, and every now and then we'd go out and try to race friends and stuff like that. But I went to a mud race one day and fell in love with it. I mean, it's nothing like the camaraderie of the mud family. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it. It gets in you, and you just you do everything you can to make a race and to get to hang around all the fine folks.
And there's several of them. Tell us what it's like for the people sitting home. What's it like to sit down in that truck when you're up there on the starting line? Take us through a race. What do you feel when you're sitting there gripped up to the steering wheel?
Well, I'm gonna tell you about before.
Okay.
You get there, you nervous all the way up. They call you up to that line, and you nervous. You sitting there thinking, what am I doing? But when you let off that trans brake and you make that first pass and you come across that water and you control the uncontrollable, it ain't nothing like it. You ready to pull back up to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. You ready and ready. But that first time, it's you nervous every time. That don't never leave. But I promise you, in that 18 seconds it takes to get around that track, everything that you was thinking about or had on your mind is gone. Because I call it mud therapy.
Mud therapy.
Mud therapy.
What you get down the track and you go to make that left-hand curve down there, and your competitor's right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking about?
Way back, usually right there.
and for those of you at home that don't know, Wade Beck he's kind of
he's the legend.
The legend.
He's a legend around here. He's a legend in Arkansas. He's 70 years old, and you have got to race him every inch around that track to try to beat him.
Now I know Wade, from what I understand, is watching tonight, and I know he's claims to be a little camera shy, but we're hoping he gets over. We want to make a trip down to Wade's home and do one of our Arkansas Racing Legends series on him. But so Wade's right there beside you.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing then to try to get around the old legend?
You don't want to race dirty. You don't want to hit nobody. You don't want to cause nobody to get hurt, flip or nothing. So you try to stay off of them, but sometimes it's inevitable. I mean, you got two trucks that are sliding, so.
And at that point in time, it don't matter what lane you're in.
Oh no.
You can go to his lane,
Mm-hmm.
he can come to your lane.
Once you pass the cones on the front stretch and hit that water, it's game on.
At
It's
that
the
point in
first
time, it
one
don't
past
matter.
the finish line.
Right.
Yep.
How many times do you, in your mind, as you pull up the starting line, you've got a game plan?
Oh, you don't.
And how many times does your game plan went exactly as you thought it would?
I'm gonna tell you something. The guy that started me out, and the crew, Doug and Gene Tarver and Thomas Rogers, and them. I asked Doug at the first race, I was nervous, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these trucks doing this all down around the track, and I'm sitting there and I said, man, you've been doing this, Doug, 14 years, give me some pointers of driving around this track, how do I drive it? And he said, instinct. And I looked at him and I'm like, you telling me to drive off of instinct, and you telling me to hold this truck wide open all the way around this track off of instinct. And that was the truest thing he could have told me, because when that truck shifts this way, your hands automatically go this way. When that truck shifts this way, your hands automatically go that way. So, I mean, it's you driving off of instinct. You can have the game plan, you can say, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit that, but that kind of power, and you just happy when you cross that finish line.
And what kind of power are we talking about?
My small block made right at 800, and my big block makes right at 1,000.
And that's a lot of horsepower anywhere you go.
Yes,
That's, and you're out there on mud, just driving on instinct.
yes. Tractor
And,
tires.
Tractor tires, trying to hang on to 800 to 1,000 horsepower.
Yes.
And still get around way back.
Yeah. Sometimes. When I got a small block in there, I can whoop that big block.
Oh, okay. Tell us a little bit, you've talked about tell us a little bit more about the construction of the truck that you drive.
Well, it's you know, you try to build it as strong as you can and less weight that you can. You don't want it to weigh too much to try to slow you down, but you know, you want it to be safe too. You know, we roll caged it. You know, the bottom of the truck, you gotta waterproof it and try to get you a skid pan, so when you hit that water, you fly across it instead of bogging down, sitting down in it. You know, you want to go across it like a boat. So you try to waterproof everything. You got to waterproof your engine. You can't let water get in. Your truck ain't gonna run right. You'll tear it up. Just basic stuff like that. You got window nets to keep your arms from flying out. Harnesses.
Now,
Yeah.
people watch the show now may not understand the waterproof aspect. Tell a little bit about what you go through to waterproof. We'll example a few of the things that you do.
We got a big can that sits on top of the carburetor. It's got 2 outlets, 4-inch outlets off of it. And then we run 4-inch PVC pipe back into the firewall inside the cab, and we put filters on it in there. A lot of the water don't come in the cab, especially get under that dash, so that's where you want to try to keep it, because water gets in the motor, gets in the distributor, you got to seal your distributor real good, but water gets in your carburetor or your distributor, it ain't gonna run right. The guy you racing is gonna leave.
The competition,
It's fierce.
every round.
Every round.
And the
You
other
can't
thing,
take nobody for granted out there.
and like I said, you drive over here from Yazoo City every time. What is it here at Wildman that attracts you to come from that?
First and foremost, people. This is some fine folks over here. They made me feel right at home from the first time I came here. I won my first pass at this track, and it'll always hold a place in my heart. The people, Eddie and Christy, they fine folks, and I thank them for that we got a place to race, and y'all provide that for us. And as long as y'all have it, I will be here.
And we'll echo, just what you said. We showed up down here one day, and everybody, Eddie and Christy and the entire staff and all the drivers treated us just like we'd been here for 100 years.
That's exactly
And
how
we
they
didn't know
treat you
anybody.
every time. That's right.
And it just really felt like we were at home that day.
That's how I felt when I first started racing. I'm home. It's family. This is all family. It's not that you just want to come win the race every time. I mean, yeah, you won't win, but I mean, I can come out here and I can pull off the trailer and lose my first 2 passes, and I still have a great time. Just get to walk around, talk to everybody, everything, and watch some good racing.
Talking about the truck, let's talk about transmissions. What type of transmissions do you run in your truck?
My
You
truck
talked about the trans brake.
Yeah.
which a lot of people know, especially if they're associated with drag racing, understand the trans brake, but they may not have an idea about the rest of the transmission. Is there something special that
No.
we do?
We put the the heavy duty clutches in it, that's about it, install a trans brake valve body. We're running a turbo 350 in mine, and the putting a glide in it does off season though, and a Ford 900. So we've been having a little problem with our rear end, kind of overpowered everything, so we're gonna
Try the 4 9-inch route.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
should cure a lot of problems.
It should.
Just take care of it right there.
It should. But you can overpower your parts sometimes. But
Well, just like in most racing, there's a weak link somewhere in between the front bumper and the rear bumper, and at the world's worst time, it will appear.
well, I promise you, at a mud race, it will, because you are putting that truck through ungodly amounts of pressure. It's
We were talking a little bit earlier, about the racing action, and like I said, nobody tries to race dirty, but occasionally.
man, they don't want to hit you. They don't want their truck tore
Right.
up, and you don't want your truck tore up.
But like I said, y'all out there in tough competition, and like I said, you rub fenders if you have to.
That's right.
Maybe have to is not the correct word, but if it happens, y'all are not afraid to trade a little paint to get through the tires. And what's the worst wreck that you've had in the sport?
I've never wrecked. One time we run up on the bank, landed on the side of the truck, but other than that, we've never flipped.
Well, that's good. You've been very fortunate.
Never been in a bad accident. Now, I hit Wade back first race of the year. Actually, Wade hit me. He come over on me, and I heard him get back in it. I couldn't see nothing, so I got back in it, and my windshield wipers went like this, and there he was. Bam! I hit him, and then I made his grandson, Zach, he looked like the Percy off of the Green Mile.
Yeah.
When he got out, I looked at him, he was over going. Got you, Zach.
Oh, y'all.
You said something there for those that hadn't been out here, the wipers. But y'all got something set up also on these trucks to get the mud and stuff off of the windshield.
We got spray bars, or we got just a little piece of PEX that runs across our window with holes drilled in it, and you got a water pump and a water tank in the back, and you're feeding water to it
Right.
all the time, and your windshield wipers are moving. So you're trying to keep where you can see, because if you can't see, you're not going to stay in it. You might, but you might luck up, but if you can kind of see that bank, you can kind of judge where you at. And you don't know where the other truck's at, but sometimes you take that chance, sometimes you don't.
But that was something that I figured out when I was watching Tech. Over there watching, kind of.
Oh, we do all kind of stuff to the trucks now. It's something. It's you want to go through it, you want to try to get all the weight off of it you can. You cut all the stock parts that you don't need off of it and everything, and so, but you just try to do the best you can. You got stiff competition out here. But what I love about the mud racing is, like y'all was saying earlier, it's not just a $20,000 class. You can have a man come out here with a $120,000 motor or $120,000 truck, and if he can't put that big horsepower to that ground, then a little $8,000 motor can come out here and eat that big money motor up. So that's what I love about mud racing is you don't have to be rich. You're not trying to outrun money all the time, because they got to make it stick. If they don't make it stick, you can get them.
Well, as we close out your segment of the show, what can the people expect out of your racing for the 2021 racing season?
Try to take that point championship home way back. Coming forward. I want that big trophy for you.
So Wade, we know you're out there watching, so I guess the challenge has been issued.
That's right.
Wade may be headed out to the shop here in just a second.
He's probably out there working on it right now.
Right now. Well, listen, it means a lot to us that you took the time to drive from Yazoo City, Mississippi tonight to come over here and visit with us tonight.
Well, thank you
That's,
Thank y'all for.
It's a big deal for us, and like I said, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir, we appreciate it too, and thank y'all for getting it out there for us. And I'm telling you folks, y'all come, y'all wanna have a good time, and it's very family oriented. But like I said, y'all wanna have a good time and bring your family, and it's
We agree, it's a good time.
Yeah,
It's fun.
It's a good time.
right.
Well, sir, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving right through the program tonight. And again, thanks to True Grit Auctions up in Darnell, Arkansas. Shaw Race Cars in Batesville, Arkansas. Fuel Pots Complete Car Care just outside of Greenwood, just before you get into Fort Smith. Thanks to them. Western Petroleum Company in Plummerville, Arkansas, and Wildman Racetrack down here at Pine Bluff. And we will welcome our next guest onto the hot seat tonight. And we'll let you introduce yourself to the people at home.
My name's Rocky Coleman, drive Fat Boy Racing 212.
Fat Boy Racing 212.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to ask how the truck got its name. But go ahead, Heath.
You're saying it's just basically one of them things, just how did you get into mud racing and how did this all get started? Or did you start racing something different than mud at one time?
Well-
Or did you start with mud?
My dad and Wade Beck, Butch Mitchell, they all raced in the late 80s, mid 80s. And that's where I got it from. My house is actually on the start line of the old track in the 80s. So that's I grew up watching them. And I think it died out in the early 90s, this and that, and we started drag racing, 98 to 99, 01, 02, somewhere around there, which I've always been a fan of racing. So whenever Monticello opened back up, 05, 06, we started going real watching. Then Eddie built his first truck, 06 or 07. I helped him out. And 08, I built one. And it just took on from there. So, I've always kind of been a fan
Of racing?
Yep.
And you, as a youngster, you
I watched Wade.
watched them
Oh,
do
97.
the mud racing.
Yep. It was the same track as Eddie's got, his horseshoe track. And 097, what he had, my dad had a truck. Butch had a old dinosaur. And when I was a kid, it just kind of took off from there.
And then you said something about, I guess that's when the track shut down.
Yeah, I think it was like 86 or 88.
And then you got into
Drag
drag racing.
yep.
Drag racing.
Yep.
And so you built a drag car. Or?
My dad had a drag truck, which Eddie talked about Bud Cummins. My dad had a truck, and Bud drove it. I was just kind of pit crew. I was 17, 18 years old, and we drag raced, and my dad sold the truck, and when Eddie wanted to build a truck, Bud was gonna be the driver, like he was saying. They had the motor built, and a couple days before the motor was done, I talked to him, and he passed away. And Eddie finished when he had finished the truck with it. That's what started mud racing back for me. And a couple years after that, I built my own truck to help Eddie and my dad and everybody else. I've been mud racing ever since.
What type of truck do you race? Tell us a little bit about your truck.
It's a 92 model Chevrolet. I built, I think 3 of them. I don't know, my wife probably tell you more than this.
I'll bet you can.
3 or 4 of them. I started out with 85 model Chevrolet, but I think I built 3. 3 or 4 trucks. And, they've been anywhere from stock class to super stock. My dad had a modified Dodge Super Mod. He had a driver for it, and I ended up driving it. Circumstances, I ended up driving it.
Tell us, and we'll ask you the same thing that we asked the other gentleman earlier. When you pull up to that start line, you're sitting down in that seat, hands on the steering wheel. What's going through your mind, and how do you navigate Wild Man Racetrack? What's it like?
Whenever I look at the board and see who I'm racing, I'm always nervous. Cause the old way of saying, the day you ain't nervous about getting a race car, the day you don't need to be in one. It don't matter who I'm racing. I try to get that first pass down, and once you pull up to the line, you hold your hand out the window, trying to clear your motor out and get stalled up. When your hand comes back in, everything goes away. I'm nervous until then. But when you're, as soon as you hit the water hole, they can't see, you can't see. So it's just pretty much whoever can hold it on the floor, come out the other side.
And you're exactly right. Once you hit that water hole, you can't see.
And they can't see either.
And it comes down to whether you can keep that
Yep.
foot feed buried into the floorboard.
Yep. And pretty much what I do, I look at my window net and I watch the bank to see if I'm gonna hit the bank or swing too wide. If I'm swinging that wide, I look at the guardrail until I can see. But other than that, just you gotta have some man in your pants, pretty much.
What, of course, obviously in this sport, and like I said, you're holding it down to the floor, and you got a lot of horsepower out there, and obviously there's a lot of wear and tear on the vehicles. Every time that you make a pass out to the track, what's it like during the week to get ready to come back to the next race?
It's like a newborn baby. You got to babysit it. You run one time a month, even though your truck loaded up on the trailer, you're gonna spend 2 weeks repairing it, if not more. If something broke, you're gonna be when you get off work, it's late nights every night. It is a full-time job to keep one going.
Is that also, we understand you waterproof everything, and that after that run that weekend, you do that all over again?
Just on mine, just a carburetor, because we'll pull the box off the carburetor, and if we got very little, you suck some sand down in it. Very little, you got to pull the air box off, but pretty much everything's sealed up. Spray foam, probably your best friend, and it's silicone. I mean, that's the way it is.
And I know something that people that are at home watching, they're probably wondering, because you're out here in the water. What about fluids? Are those changed out on a race basis?
I don't know about everybody else, but I change my oil every race. Whether I run 3 or 8 passes, I change oil, because the oil's cheap, and that's your best friend, really. So, I mean, I can't justify running 2 or 3 races and not changing my oil. After every race, I change my oil.
What about transmission fluid? And that was something I was leading up to.
Not unless you got a leak.
What's that?
Not unless you got a leak.
Because I was just wondering, and that was just a question that I had, was being out there in all that water, was that a problem as far as getting water into the transmission?
No, not on mine. It may be on some others, but on mine, it's not. I mean, I check it. We take in, and right there before we race, we'd generally go over all the fluids, this and that.
Did you bring up something there that I want to get into a little bit? You talked about tech when we tech in. Take us through that process.
If it's warm, you ain't gotta worry about vacuum, 'cause on our classes, stock, super stock, stock 17 inch vacuum, you got a full super stock, I think it's 14. If it's warm, you can crank it up off the trailer, heat it up just a little bit and go take in. Just a little cool, cool weather on vacuum is not your friend. I think you get 2 times to take in, and then if you're in stock, you get 2 times, I think maybe 3, and then if you can't take in, they'll bump you up to another class. And that's kind of a rule that keeps everybody kind of even on the vacuum.
I like that format.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of keeping you in a class like a bracket race or an index class and drag race. It kind of keeps everybody right there the same. Some people kind of go beyond that meaner, kind of, they get lucky every now and then, but whenever you race 4 or 5 times you place, you got to be tech. And if they can pull vacuum in the morning, pretty much if they're on the line, they're not going to retake in, and they'll be disqualified. And if you're running 56, you get DQ'd on taking back in 6th place. That keep bumping everybody up. So it's kind of hard way to. You got to have all your ducks in a row on vacuum.
Well, as we close out your segment, we'll ask you, like we asked everybody else, what can everybody expect out of you in the 2021 season?
Whew. I don't know, I have to ask my wife. No, well, I got a shop that 4 or 5 trucks come out of, and we're kind of, I know I got a super stock truck, and my buddy's got his daughter drives a pure stock truck, which I actually ride with her. But I got a bunch of buddies that got stock, super stock trucks, and we just kind of, if my truck's done, we jump in there and help everybody else. That's kind of one of them deals.
Well, we appreciate you being here tonight and coming on the show, and like I said, we look for some exciting things out of you in the 2021 season when we come back. And anything else you'd like to say before we break? Well, I'll tell you what, it's been an honor, and we appreciate having you tonight. And again, ladies and gentlemen, as we move on through the show tonight, we want to thank our sponsors, True Grit Auction Company in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Go online and check them out. They're Arkansas's leading online auction company. Shaw Race Cars in Batesville, Arkansas. We want to also thank Western Petroleum over in Palmerville, Arkansas. Fuel Pots Complete Car Care just outside of Greenwood, Arkansas. And we want to thank Wildman Racetrack right here at Pine Bluff. And our next and final victim for the night here on Tuesday Night Tune-Up. How are you doing, sir? And we'll let you introduce yourself to the people at home.
I'm Andy Scott. I've got a stock class truck called Funky Monkey and a super modified truck that's called It's Treaty.
Andy, I think we talked to you when we were down here in September.
Yes, sir.
And that's something else that you bring up there that I really like, and I think Heath has come in too. The names on the racing vehicles. I think other sports have lost that. Used to stock car racing, drag racing. All the cars had names on them, but I thought it was refreshing to come down here and see that you guys, coming up with a name and that identifies your vehicle. I think that's great for the fans. And Heath, I'll again pass it over to you.
Well, I talked to Andy. We were down here last time there for a little bit, and Andy showed us his truck. Got to look at it and filled us in a little bit on some stuff. But anyway, I just, how did you get started into mud racing, and
Was this your first racing, or did you do something before that?
No, I never raced anything before that. Me and another guy built a truck in 2009 when Rocky started racing. There was a whole group of us that kind of fell in there and followed what Rocky had started. We followed in there and got in it. Me and that guy raced for a year, and then I kind of, with my work and stuff, I got out of it, and I got too busy. And then in 2018, I ended up getting another truck, and I started working on it and started racing again in 2018.
What, tell us a little bit about both of your trucks, the differences, you know.
My stock class truck, it's a 2003 model Dodge 4-wheel drive. It's got a small block Dodge motor, not a lot of horsepower. It's probably, I'm probably around that 300 on it. You know, it's just it was a budget build. You know, I built it just so I could come out, have fun, race with the other guys, and they'll tell you I like talking trash more than anybody. So that was just my talk trash. You know, we'll build this truck, do whatever. But now my Supermod truck, it was actually the one that Rocky had talked about that he drove. I ended up getting it from Rocky's dad, and it's got a 542 big block Dodge in it, and it's my favorite truck.
I can tell by the way you smile.
Right.
But when and we're going to ask you just like we asked those other two gentlemen, when you pull up to the line and you're sitting there and you're getting ready to go, take us through what's going through your mind during your race.
It's just a different feeling. You pull to the line and it's just like you don't have any worries about anything. You're not stressed out. You pull to the line. It's just there's no other feeling. You know, I've got a buddy, like my Supermod truck. My buddy that's got a race truck. He's got a stock class truck, Brandon Russian. He rides with me in my Supermod, and that's what I told him. We were riding. I said, if you see me do this, you know, tell me what I need to do different. And we done it, and he was like, you wasn't even paying attention. I was like, I wasn't, because I don't even notice him over there when we're in the truck. You get your mind on something, that's how you go with it. You don't pay attention to everything else that's going on.
You get down in the water,
Mm-hmm.
down in the turns,
Mm-hmm.
and you notice your competitor there. Does the adrenaline does it pick up just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
if you glance over and maybe see a fender or something?
Not necessarily when you see them, but when you feel them. When you're going around that curve and when you feel, if you're on the inside and they're on the outside and you feel them against each other, then there's no other feeling like that whenever there's somebody right beside you. When you can feel their truck kind of getting against yours, there's no way to compare that to anything.
Now, something we didn't ask the other two racers. Tell us about exiting off the curve.
What I do, when I come around the curve and there's both trucks there and we're there, if I'm on the outside, I'm trying to get on the outside wall and I'm trying to get in the dry dirt. You know, I'm trying to get where my truck's gonna grab and go. Or if I'm on the inside, I'm gonna be right on that wall trying to climb and go out. That's just what, I'm not, once you come out of the curve, you're not paying attention to where they're at. You're trying to look at where you're going. And the edge of the wall is faster than the center of the track because the center of the track's muddy, so you're trying to get in the fastest spot you can be.
Do y'all sometimes try to get to the same
Same spots at the same time?
Usually on the backstretch, no. Usually what happens is in the curve, you'll get each other. You know, when you're going around the curve, what happens is if you're on the inside and you're going fast enough, your truck will try to push out. Or depending on how the water hole is that day, some days the water hole is different early, and you try to get over. If you're on the outside, you try to get over to the inside to get some better ground to cover.
And that's what I was saying earlier. You know, had seen that last time where that guy, I mean, it was like, you got in the water hole, they just switched spots.
Mhm.
The guy on the inside went to the outside, and
Usually
the
the,
guy on the outside come to the inside.
usually the guy, whoever makes it across the water hole first is usually who determines which lane you're in.
Where they're gonna go.
Right.
And that's the thing, if you're on the outside and you're coming out of the water hole in the lead, are you staying to the outside or are you going to the inside?
I'm going to the inside. When you cross them cones, there's the cones there, when you cross them, the inside of the track's the shortest distance.
Right.
If you can get over and get on that inside of the track and come around, that's the best way to do it, to my personal opinion.
I've got a question that you may not want to answer. You may not want to give away a secret. Rear end gear ratio.
Mhm.
You care to tell us what
Mine is, in my stock truck, I'm 355 in the rear, 355 in the front. My Supermod is 355 in the rear, 329 in the front. But I'm Dodge. My stuff's different than everybody.
Right.
You pull up to the track and you'll see two Dodge trucks there and they're both mine. I mean, they're Chevrolet guys. I'm fixing to cut off on them because I can't.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Chevrolet guys, most of them are running 373s. Yep.
Well, that's just a question that we've sat here and I've been debating that. What's your typical week like when you're preparing to get out here to the races?
The week before the races is hectic. Cause I've got two trucks that come out of my shop. My buddy Brandon's got a truck that comes out of my shop. And then last year we picked up another guy that was working with me, Carson Reinhardt. He had a truck. So we had 4 trucks coming out of my shop. So the week before the races was hectic. It was real hectic. Usually the Friday night before the races, it's usually, if we go to bed before midnight, we've done real good.
Now if you said you're on Dodge, what transmission are you running in your trucks out here?
Both of my trucks, I run the Torque Flight
So
727.
that's what I would imagine, but I was just checking.
And then the stock truck Chevrolets, they're running the Turbo 350.
Do you have those locally built, or do you send off for those? Or?
Mine, well, actually all of them, Mr. Bill Dowdy.
Dowdy, who's a good friend of ours.
Yep.
Hi, Bill, if you're out
Yeah,
there.
Mr. Bill builds our transmissions and our transfer cases.
Bill builds my torque converters and stuff. for
He
my
builds
track
our
cars.
converters too.
I was just hoping that was going to be the answer.
Oh, yeah,
Give Bill a
yeah.
little
On the
plug there.
727, Mr.
Yeah.
Bill's the man.
He is the man. What is it for you that attracts you out here to Wild Man Raceway?
It's just it's the family time. I'll be honest, I've spent more time with my mom and dad and family at the racetrack than I normally would, because they go to work, we do our stuff, but on the weekends, we come to track. Even Friday nights before the races, there's liable, my driveway's liable to have 30 cars in it, just people coming in, hanging out, we're working on trucks, we're getting ready to load them on the trailer. It's, like Rocky that was here before, I've known him since we was little kids, and we've got a big group together. We go hang out at their shop, they come hang out at our shop. It's just a big family-oriented deal.
And that's one of the things that we see a lot. Of course, we're old racers, but people not involved in motorsports, whether it be mud truck racing, drag racing, stock car racing, go-karts, they just don't understand the family nucleus that comes together in the
Right.
sport. It's like no other.
Right.
And it's a shame that more people out here hasn't got to experience that atmosphere.
There's probably 15 or 20 of us guys that race together. It's got a little Facebook group that we talk on, and BS with or whatever, and we'll race against each other on Saturday, but we're all best friends come Monday or whatever. I mean, you beat me up, we're still gonna be friends. I mean, it's very rarely do we have any confrontation.
And that's good.
Mhm.
You looking at, like
No,
you had a question
no,
there.
I think, I'll ask
Okay.
any everything I can think of.
Now, do you have a daughter?
No.
No, okay, I
No.
had you confused with someone else that races. But
Oh,
anyway,
you're probably talking about Mickey Cantrell that's got the Swamp Donkey racing.
that may be
His daughter,
another colorful name, ladies and gentlemen.
right, yeah, Swamp Donkey. His daughter drives the Diva Donkey truck, and that's Paisley Cantrell.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, I wanted to bring that up because the sport's not just for men. There's a lot of women that and young ladies that are involved out here.
There's Paisley, and then there's Gracie Duncan that Rocky was talking about that drives that.
Okay.
She's got a pure stock truck too.
I know we talked to a few of those young ladies when we were down here in September. And, if somebody is out there wanting to get started in the sport, what's your advice to them?
Get you you can find them all over the place. You can get you a 99 model and up. LS Chevrolet 4-wheel drive. You can probably find one sitting around for about $800 to $1,000. Start out in pure stock. Make sure you like it. Race it. Have a good time. And then if you want to bump up from pure stock to stock class over the off season, put your roll cage in it, bump up, do what you got to do, and you can get in stock class for. You can get it. I mean, honestly, you could build a fun stock class truck. I mean, you could get in pure stock for $1,000, but you could build a fun stock class truck for probably $5,000 to $6,000 and go out there and have fun with it.
And one thing we hadn't asked about, and we wanted to before we left, we noticed that the racing is round robin action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there wasn't one class and then another class. It was, when your class is called, it's round robin action until
Right.
it's over.
Right.
You like that? I mean, is that just part of the natural mud racing atmosphere for
Right.
those of us that don't know?
It is, because other than pure stock, pure stock don't have a roll cage, so you can't bump up with that. But like, when you go from stock class, you can run your stock class truck in stock class, and then you can bump it up. Once stock class is over, you can bump up to super stock and run in super stock. So you got a chance to run more races, with that
right.
truck. And any given day, you may be running a stock class truck with a modified truck, and the modified truck break, and the stock class truck win it all. I mean, it's happened before. So you don't have to just run. Just because you're stock class, you don't have to run stock class. You can bump up and still race. Just say you come in here and you run stock class. I've seen people run stock class and lose 2 in stock class and then get a trophy in super stock. Just the way the luck falls. I mean, this last race, I'll be honest, my stock class truck is one of the slowest stock class trucks here. But I didn't spend a lot of money on it, but I got, out of 15 trucks, I had a 4th place trophy. But it was just the way it fell. I got a buy run, 2 trucks broke, I got to bump up, and I ended up having 4th place. I mean, it's just the luck of the day. I mean, that's how it goes.
Well, what do you want to tell the folks at home about what we can expect out of you in 2021 racing season? If you've got any secrets you want to divulge in front of these guys out here?
I got one little secret coming out, but I got a pretty good sponsor for pure stock coming out, so we're gonna put together a little pure stock truck, and I'm gonna.
Oh, they're grinning back there.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a few of them that know, but no, Joey Coleman at Whitehall Fresh Market, he's sponsoring a pure stock truck for me, and we're gonna run it, and then I'm gonna take. My Supermod truck was a straight front axle truck, and it don't get across the water the way the independent trucks do. So I'm gonna take everything out of that Supermod truck and put it over in my stock truck, and we're gonna have an independent truck in Supermod and try to put weight back on the trailer. That's what we're going for.
Well, I tell you what, it's been an honor and privilege to get to sit here and visit with you and everybody else tonight, and we really appreciate it. And we get ready to wrap up this week's segment of Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Heath, tell everybody where we're going next week.
Next week, we'll be in Scranton, Arkansas at the Rogers Boys.
At the world famous David Rogers Garage.
We'll be there and have him tell us how he builds and drag engines.
One of the best kept Ford engine secrets in Arkansas.
And how and not just engine builder, they're great drag racers
They're great
also.
drag racers as well. The whole family is.
Yes.
They will load you on the trailer in a
In a
hurry.
hurry.
You know, like I said, we appreciate getting to come down here tonight.
Yes, we do.
Want to thank everybody that's been watching. We're available on several different apps and our Facebook page and our website. 7,000 views
Last week
in different formations from the Shaw race car. We had 7 different viewers, 7,000 different
we
viewers.
appreciate
So
everybody.
we appreciate that. The show's even being seen all the way up in Canada. We appreciate everybody up in Canada that's watching. And again, for True Grit Auctions, Shaw Race Cars, Bill Potts Complete Car Care, Weston Petroleum, and Wildmed Racetrack. I'm Bill Gilkey with Heath Tate and all of our guests, and we want to thank Eddie and Christy Huntley for inviting us down here tonight. And we also want to thank a special guest that wasn't here tonight, and that's Wade Beck.
At my, I don't wanna lose my crew chief and my best friend, Andrew Lynn Buster. I didn't-
And again, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you back next week from Stratton, Arkansas. Thank you.